right now, scattered across North America and quietly expanding into Europe and beyond. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is operating one of the largest private food storage and distribution networks on the face of the earth. We are talking about hundreds of facilities, billions of dollars in supplies, a logistical machine so vast and so precise that it has drawn the attention of governments, emergency response agencies, and international aid organizations, and most of the world has absolutely no idea what is really happening inside them. By the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly what these warehouses are, why they were built, and the one truth about them that completely overturns the story you have probably been told. It is something that surprises even active members of the church. It is something that secular institutions have quietly taken note of, and it is going to change the lens through which you see all of this. But before we get there, if you are new here and you want to go deeper on faith, history, and the questions that most channels are too afraid to ask, hit subscribe right now. Mormon Insights is where we do that work every single week. And here is audience question number 1, and I want your answer in the comments below. When you hear the words LDS food storage, what is the very first image that comes into your mind? Write it down honestly. Do not filter it. I will come back to that. Okay, let us go back to 1936. The United States is in the grip of the Great Depression. Unemployment in some major cities has reached 30%. Bread lines stretch around city blocks. Families across the country are genuinely hungry. And in that moment, the president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Heber J. Grant, together with his counselors, launches something called the Church Welfare Program. The stated purpose was simple, direct, and quietly radical. The goal was to help people help themselves, not to simply hand out charity, not to create dependency, but to build systems that would lift people up and keep them standing on their own feet. That phrase matters. Remember it. We are coming back to it. Within just a few years, the church had established a network of bishop storehouses, working farms, grain silos, and canneries. By the end of the 20th century, this had grown into a global operation, and today, the scale of it is genuinely extraordinary. The church operates over 130 bishop storehouses worldwide, hundreds of Deseret industries, thrift and training facilities, home storage centers on multiple continents, and a dedicated humanitarian arm called Latter-day Saint Charities that has delivered aid in 196 countries. 196 countries. Sit with that number for a moment. Now here is the narrative that most people, especially here in Europe, attach to all of this, and I want to present it fairly. To an outside observer, a religious organization that stores massive quantities of food looks like one thing. It looks like a group that is preparing for collapse, for catastrophe, for the end of days, and the theology does support the idea of preparation. In the Doctrine and Covenants, the Lord says, "If ye are prepared, ye shall not fear. Be self-reliant. Store food, prepare your household." These teachings are real. They are documented. They are not invented. So it is entirely reasonable to look at these warehouses and conclude that the church is preparing for something big, a moment when the systems of the world fail and these storehouses become the lifeline. Audience question number 2, do you personally store emergency food or supplies in your home? Drop your answer in the comments below. Now, here is where everything you have just heard gets turned completely upside down. Because that narrative about religious survivalists stockpiling for an apocalypse is missing something fundamental sitting right there in the data. The majority of aid that flows out of LDS humanitarian facilities does not go to members of the church. When you trace where the resources actually go, the food, the medicine, the emergency shelter kits, the bulk of it goes to non-members, people of different faiths, people of no faith at all. It is a network built for everyone. The church has reported delivering over $2.5 billion in humanitarian assistance since 1985. Across wars, famines, earthquakes, floods, and pandemics, and it flows overwhelmingly outward, toward whoever needs it most, regardless of belief. So, if the warehouses are not primarily for members, then what exactly are they building, and who is watching? Let us go to Germany, September 2015. More than 1 million asylum seekers arrive in Central Europe in a single year, the largest movement of displaced people the continent had seen. Since the Second World War, governments across the European Union scrambled to respond. Coordination between agencies is slow, resources are stretched, and quietly, in Frankfurt and in cities across Germany, the church is already on the ground. Working alongside the Red Cross and established NGOs, church members channel supplies and volunteer hours directly into reception centers, Syrian families, Afghan families, Eritrean families, people who shared nothing with Mormonism except their humanity. And this was not a press release. It was not a marketing campaign. It happened because the infrastructure was already in place. The systems were already running. The warehouses were already stocked. That phrase from 1936 comes back now with new weight. Help people help themselves. Not just Latter-day Saints. People. Countries like Sweden, Germany, and the Netherlands have spent decades building some of the most sophisticated secular welfare systems in the world. Strong state safety nets, coordinated emergency response frameworks. And yet, some of the most effective crisis response models point back to the same private organization. The United States Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, has formally acknowledged the church as a benchmark partner in disaster relief coordination, a government agency calling a faith institution a model. That is not a small thing. It tells us that the theology of preparation, when it is lived outward rather than inward, produces something extraordinary. It tells us that storing food is not an act of fear. It is an act of capacity. The capacity to serve. The capacity to show up. The capacity to be genuinely useful in the moments when the world around you has broken down. These warehouses are not bunkers waiting for the apocalypse. They are the infrastructure of one of the most quietly active humanitarian networks on this planet. Already running, already deployed, already changing lives in places most people would never think to connect to a church headquartered in Salt Lake City. Is private faith-based welfare a complement to secular social systems? Or does it quietly challenge the idea that government alone should be responsible? There is no single right answer here. I genuinely want your honest, thoughtful response. Drop it below and let us have a real conversation. The catastrophe it is responding to is not approaching on the horizon. It is already here. It is the ongoing daily reality of human need, poverty, displacement, natural disaster, conflict, and these warehouses, without headlines, without drama, are already doing the work. If that challenges what you thought you knew, good. Now, before you go, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell me what surprised you. If you are not yet part of the Mormon Insights community, subscribe right now. Every week we go deep on real history and real human stories. I will see you in the next one. And until then, stay curious, stay kind, and remember this: the most powerful preparation you can ever make for whatever is coming next is simply being useful to the person standing right in front of you today.